Happy New Year and welcome to The Way of Conscious Mindfulness, a show about mind, body and spirit, a mixture of science and spirituality, and following the way of the Tao. The Tao means the way, the balance, the path. So this week we have a person. And that person at the moment has one eye. So each week a different. So this week it is a person, and it is their way, their Tao, their point of view. As always, I have a couple of really cool co-hosts, and they are the gracious, the mighty, the sometimes quiet but always intriguing Chris, aka the Questioner.
Hello.
Listen, when you said quiet, I knew it wasn't going to be me.
I know. I like mixing it about a bit. You know me. And then, crazy, the wild, the always losing our PG rating moment person. It is the great, the mighty. The thumbs up. It is Q, aka Ethan.
Hi.
And then tonight we have, returning to the show, we have a very interesting guest. Very interesting guest indeed. So it is Paul McDonald. And the show is about himself. And so I asked this question to you last time. I'll ask it again. So good evening, Paul. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
And the question is, my first question is, what is your way? What is your Tao?
What is my way? What is my Tao? The best way possible.
Oh no, it isn't. Anyway, go on.
Well, it is for me, and I'll get onto that one actually a bit later. My own intuitive way. And everyone, a bit like the show says, you should all go with your own intuition and go with your own way, because you're always yourself. You can never be anyone else. So I'll leave you with that anyway for a second. Basically that. My way is recently been learning to do things my way. And that is my own little creation, Conscious Spa Camps, which is basically a session to help people find their own intuitive nature by going inwardly in stillness and using breath work and just feeling what wants to come up, observing what wants to come up. A bit like, for example, you've got Buddha. He went and he sat there in contemplation, and then he come up with what he come up with. The same with Jesus, the same with Guru Nanak, Muhammad, all these people. Even the man behind Tai Chi, the people behind whoever's created anything, maybe, just maybe, they went with what they needed at the time, and then, as we all do, we get evangelistic and we want to share that. By sharing that is good. There is going to be stuff that's going to help people, but people need to take from everything what they need and put together for what's good for them, and then share again and keep doing the same thing. So there's almost these rings of that same pattern going on. And that's what the idea of Conscious Spa Camps is to get people. There's no way of meditating. There's no way of well, it involves meditating. It involves tantric dance. It involves breath work. It involves mudras. It involves mindfulness. It involves connecting empathically using our heart math. It involves the whole shebang of consciousness and general good positive stuff. But I basically act as a middleman, using music as well, but to get people to do it their own way. And I just sit there and just act towards it, but it's to get them to feel their own way, basically, which completely matches what your show's about. And just it's fun, and people come along and find out for yourself, find out your own way, and have fun, find out who you are, find out what you like to do, find out how your own body needs to manage itself. You've got your own cellular structure, you've got your own energetic imprint. So everyone is completely different. So what might be good for one person is different for another. So you can't necessarily, in my opinion, just my opinion, follow one complete thing. You know, you've got to find out what you need for yourself. Sit there, breathe, and just see what happens. Go with the flow. You know, you might want to breathe in. Maybe, and while you're breathing in, your hands might want to move a certain way. This is because your hands intuitively, your intuition, you know, moves your organs, moves your cells in you to move your hands in a certain way, for your hands to be able to manipulate your energy body, your own auric field for you, for what's best for you. And the same with your breath, the same with everything, basically. Yeah, so that's that in a nutshell.
I throw in a question, maybe?
Yeah, of course.
So you've talked about intuition, but what does the word intuition mean to you?
Intuition is your own inner guidance. Intuition, basically, to me, you've got the source of everything. You've got one life, and it flows through everyone. And if everyone listens to their own intuition, there don't need to be no control. Everything will work out beautifully. Every you know, it's got the same source is orchestrating for every. We're just channels, and if we just let and follow that intuition within us, that our ideas, for example, our ideas are intuition. To me, you've got this what they call Akashic records, and you can all dip into that. But at the same time, we've all got our own little thing to offer. And I think if we just go with feeling our own being, with going our own way again. There you go. And the source of everything will naturally pour through us that which we need to add to the bigger picture. And then we put that out there, other people take from it what they need, and they take from other people what they need, and then they, again, intuitively, subconsciously, they'll do it anyway, intuitively through them, it will all add up in them, and then they can make their own way and then carry on that, you know, that same process. And that's what we're here to do, co-create by going with our intuition. And by intuition, again, I mean, it says it all, intuition, it's something you've learned or you understand within you. And I'm a big believer that the future's already happened. If you're talking about one source, then everything's already happened. So your future self is always communicating back to you what you need to create what it is you're here to create. And I believe we're always creating, but something different all the time. I think every single moment's happened time and time and time over again. But the only way, there's no such thing as evolution as such, because that can't be the case if there's only one source. There's no beginning, no end as such. There's just oneness. All you can have is parallel realities, and you can only change instances and basically change patterns. Everything's already there, the structure's already there, but you can always change the structure, and that's all life can do, and to basically experience itself in a whole different way. And it can communicate with us back through consciousness for us to do something differently, to create a different way, a different process, a different format. So intuition, intuition is that guidance within us to create something different, to create a new moment.
So that you've raised so many interesting topics there. I mean, so do you believe in predestination, that everything we do in life is almost predetermined, so we have no free choice, or is it that we have free choice?
I'm a bit, I don't know, it comes to a point where I believe you've got parallel realities of absolutely every single moment. I mean, when I sit there and really go into it, it boggles my mind. And so you've got a new thought would just shift us into a new reality as such. The way I look at it, you've got NLP. NLP is out there to, just going back to a bit what I was talking about on the last time, but I'll just use a bit now. NLP is when a practitioner gets you to change the way your neurology thinks, for you to create new neural paths. So I look at it as you've got the universal mind is completely identical to to our mind. And when I say the universal mind, I mean the matter of the universe. There's pictures and images that portray this. So if this is the case, then the universe, there must be an element of outside the universe as such that works as an NLP practitioner to feed us change, if you see what I mean, to create another neural path. And yeah, I forgot what was the question.
Whether you believe in predestination or whether everything is actually free will, free choice. Every moment we are effectively creating the reality that the future isn't set effectively.
I think it's a bit of both, really. I think there is a predestination, but there's infinite predestinations, and that's the idea. We're just shifting into another neural pathway of the universal mind, a neural pathway of the universal source of matter. That's what I find, and that's what I personally believe from experience. I mean, for example, I get some days where I don't feel like me anymore. I get other days, some days where I could look at someone I love and I feel absolutely nothing. Another day I feel absolutely everything, and I'll see them differently. One day I'll look at them and I'll see them positive. Another day I'll see them all in complete different ways. And I think the more we're connecting with the whole, and the more we're unifying as one consciousness, I honestly think that we're dipping into our multidimensional selves, because if you're connecting with your multidimensional selves, you're going to experience them all, and you're going to experience the mindset of each multidimensional self, and each multidimensional self has got a different how would you put it, a slight different curve on the particular moment that you're experiencing. So if I think they're just jumping in and out of each other. And if I'm waking up here and joining up with all my multi-dimensional selves, the same are happening with all of them, but slightly different. And I think people need to be aware of this, because it can create a lot of confusion in people. But this is when they need to get into 0 point, because in that 0 point is where all multi-dimensional selves sit within. If you see what I mean, and you don't merge into one of them or one or the other and get confused. If you keep bringing yourself back into a 0 point, you're sitting in that place where all of these multi-dimensional selves reside from. If you see what I mean, you sit in a bit like Eckhart Tolle says, you're in that spot that surrounds them, so you don't get caught up in the confusion of all of them and the confused mindset that all of them can create with different personalities, because you literally are dealing with different personalities, because you're a different can
I give you an example?
Yeah.
So some days you'll wake up and maybe you'll feel like a different person, or you'll be thinking in a different way, and most of the time you won't notice, but on some days you think, you know what, I feel different today, like you were saying. Yeah.
And I see a lot of it going on. And I hear all of this. I don't know what I'm not too hot into the heavens side of thing, of horoscopes and Mercury retrograde and all this stuff. I can't comment on that, because that's affected again by something else outside of that. Also, I wonder sometimes, how do we know we're not affected by the universe's inside of us? Because it's infinite both ways. And going off the subject there anyway, but yeah, I've completely forgot again what it was. Sorry, I get lost into these different.
We can come back to that question. I just want to ask you as well. I love this idea. You were talking earlier about how you can co-manifest something, and co-manifesting can be something as simple as an idea. And you were talking about how somebody can take that idea and then pass it on to someone else, or it was this concept of an idea just springing up and flowing through you to come out into the world.
Yeah.
So maybe you could talk a little bit more about that. That would be cool.
You mean in an intuitive sense?
Yes.
Basically.
Sorry, I can think of a better thing for it now. So you like the creator of Tai Chi, the person who created Tai Chi, or the person who invented the microchip, or came up with some fantastic idea.
I'll tell you what, I'll mix it up a bit with what I was just talking about, and it can cover a couple of different things, because obviously that's what wants to happen. That's what wants to come through me at the moment. as we're talking about that subject. For example, we're talking about neurology and intuition and change, and I was talking about money before we started the show, about doing things differently. And if the universe wants to change itself, if it wants to change its universal neural mindscape as such, and shift the universe into another neural pathway, just like an NLP practitioner could do with us here on a micro scale, the universe is a macro scale. So keeping that in mind, I think intuitively we've got different things playing through us, and we've got to question it. I think we don't, as much as I'm talking about intuition, I think we've got to give the thinking mind a bit more credit as well, because it's there for a reason. And when you think that the mind of the universe, the universal mind matter, the universe that we're sat in, is a universal mind. So if you take that as a thinking concept, then thinking is a really bloody important thing. And I think thinking, our questioning thoughts, are original thought as such. And they're there for a reason, because I think a lot of people go with their intuition sometimes, and I think we're just carrying on with this same neural pathway. It's just a magnetic thing. If you think of magnetics and how that works, it's the same process happening, but on a universal scale. And if it wants to change, the only way it can change in a sense is through us, by questioning what it is we're doing. And I sit there sometimes and think, how many times have people done what they're going to do? You know, and they always talk they're going with their intuition, but maybe they need to change it. A lot of people I see on the internet going with their intuition, and they're doing stuff that I personally think it doesn't seem like it's completely going down the right route. There's a lot of coaching stuff now. Like I said, it's all still to do with money, and it's all still to do with what you can create with money. And they all want to do it from, a lot of people want to do it, become an avatar and do it from their own space and put their self out there. But this is just supporting that self thing. This is just supporting the monetary thing and the system that's still currently there in place. And if you see that system as part of a system that's going to carry us down the same road again, then we need to change that system of thought through our decisions. For example, I want to do a lot of stuff with people. I want a bit like Boggy's doing here, a bit like paradigm shift. I see different people doing different stuff. Some people I think are coming from a universal NLP place, and we're here to change that format and take it away from self and work together. And a bit like I was saying to you again earlier before the show started about a Mandela effect. I think if all of us work together, the more people work together, if you see us as patterns, symbolic for patterns, our interactions, as individual patterns creating a mandala, every time we meet and the more people we work with and share with and incorporate, the more we create these like meeting points, a bit like the flower of life pattern. You got that. The more the spots meet, if you see these as living events and people doing stuff together, or how would you put interaction, then that's going to create more synchronicities. These are synchronistic events when these patterns touch each other, and then the more that happens, the more patterns emerge, the more synchronicity emerges, the more complex the mandala gets. And it just seems to work better anyway, I think, when you open more doors, the more people you work with. And we're here to create this working with each other. We're not here to make money. You know, we don't need to be here just to make money and get money out of the picture. Money's just a middleman energy. If we're here in this universe where we can create and manifest, then let's start believing we can manifest beyond the concept of money. The concept of money is in my eyes, arcane. It's like, you know, we're supposed to be creating stuff and we don't need money. Like I said earlier, if you want to create something, if you want money to create a center, a healing center, or whatever project, maybe that if you put that idea out there to enough people, mix with enough people, don't be fearful, put your idea out there, maybe someone somewhere along the line will offer you something. They'll offer you a building. They'll offer you something you need for that project that you ain't had to pay for. Someone who's left a will. There's all sorts of routes. You know, it's just keep it open, and I think that's where intuition meets questioning mind, basically.
I kind of think of it always as like trying to hold a bird. You know, birds are really delicate. I grew up with chickens. You don't like grab onto a chicken and just crush it to death. You put your hands around the chicken and you create a space where you're holding that energy in your hands so it can't expand too much, but it's also being cradled. So I kind of think of that when I'm trying to manifest things, like manifest an idea. I'm holding this energy in my hand, so I'm keeping hold of this energy, but I'm not going to try and be picky about the way that it manifests. We were talking earlier on the show. Like if I want more resources, resources come as food, they come as shelter, they come as money. I'm not going to try and be like, I need $500. And the only way I can accept this manifestation is if it comes to me in 5 $100 bills. You know, that's going to so limit my potential for bringing that energy into my life. Whereas if I need more resources, it could come as food. It could come as, I mean, the infinite possibilities are so much greater. It's like, I used this example. I was talking to someone not that long ago. Like, if you're trying to manifest food for yourself, it's going to be a lot easier for you to do that in the middle of a city in a grocery store than it is in the middle of a desert. Because the universe is going to have a lot more possibilities to bring you this food in the middle of a store in a busy place compared to in the middle of a desert where there's no food around. Yeah, so exactly. That's kind of like my baseline of thought about it.
I've had a great example of manifestation. I mean, we had it where I had to have enough money for rent, and I remember I kept counting through my money and thinking, I don't have enough. But not in a worried state. I just remember looking, thinking, I've got, say for example, my rent's 900, and I'm thinking I've only got 600 and something. And I looked, and I was going through it again and again and again over the week, and then £300 just appeared literally out of nowhere. Because I wasn't worrying about it, and it's 3 times that's happened. £300 just manifesting and appearing out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure if like mediums, if we've had it before, I've gone out, my girlfriend's gone out, come back, and there's a wok in the middle of the hallway. I'm sure if some unseen force can put a wok in the middle of move that matter, then I'm sure it can create £300. So it's possible. So just people need to be a bit more free with their concepts on how they need to create, basically. And I think we need to work together a bit more to create what we want. And anyway, that's what we're here to do. We want to work together. We want to create together. Things happen a lot more quicker, a lot more efficiently, a lot more hands-on. And we're here to use each other. I mean, all life uses each other, for Christ's sake. I mean, trees use the sun. Everything uses something else for the bigger picture. And the word using, I don't see a problem with it. It depends how we perceive it, and then it comes back to, I suppose, a bit of an egotistical thing. Then
I know people who do have a problem with that. Who have a great problem with that. With the use everybody else, but we don't call it using. You know, the difference between a friend and somebody who's not a friend is willing for you to use them back. And like you're saying, you know, trees use us. We breathe out carbon dioxide, which is what they consume. Breathe out oxygen is what we consume.
Yeah, exactly.
Where is it? Where's the hammer? That would be Tai Chi, the complementary opposite.
You hit the nail on the head.
Always have a hammer with you. It's a bit like as a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but maybe it should be the Q's Guide to the Galaxy. Always know where your hammer is.
That's right. Never leave home without
always have a lightsaber to light the way.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, I've always got a lightsaber or 2. So, but now, so is the questioner. He's got 2 as well. He's keeping up with me. So now I've got but I've actually made totally going off topic. I've now actually made a lightsaber walking stick, which is freaking awesome. I've got a lightsaber walking stick. But anyway,
you're
I
joking.
digress.
You can imagine seeing that in old people's homes. They might need it though. It would guide the way a bit better.
Well, yeah, Yoda's there somewhere, isn't he? Oh,
Exactly.
porridge! I do. Oh. Anyway, we digress. But I just like surprise, just want to throw this in for non-believers who say, this is nonsense about manifesting your own reality. Roundabout, I always forget the exact year, but I think it was about around 1910. Between 1910 and 1920, when they were doing the experiments, you had Einstein and other people doing experiments on the quantum. Before the major, the actual atomic bomb, they were already experimenting with quantum physics and what the atoms, particles, and they found you had as the story goes, you had several of the scientists who all said when we split it up, it was firing particles through a slit, and they found that certain things were happening. But originally, what they said was one scientist said, "Well, this is going to happen." The other scientist said, "No, this is going to happen." The other scientist said, "No, this is going to happen." The other scientist said, "No, this is going to happen." It was actually about 5 different of what was going to happen through these different experiments, and they all happened exactly. Which is why the reason in case studies, whether they're science or even social experiments, the reason, or food or anything else, the reason we have blind case studies, which is that it can be that the actual person of the experiment doesn't know who's doing what. The test subject doesn't know what's actually going on. The reason why it's all totally blind, totally done unawares, is because back in the 1900s, they found that the observer affects the experiment. And this was in the particles, the minute particles. Whatever the observer believed was going to happen, it affected the experiment. We'll take one step onto that. Back in the 1970s, it was known since the 1970s that with the placebo effect, that over 80% of people in medicine, in America and in the UK, they have to, every new batch of medicine they still do a placebo effect. It's a they have to do, and so they've got years and years of case information on the placebos, and over 80% of people who have taken the placebo, the ones that are placebo is the sugar tablet. It's just simply a sugar tablet. But over 80%, and this could be from cough medicine or a cough tablet, all the way to cancer tablets. And that's important. There was actually people who had cancer, had leukemia, had serious life-threatening diseases or illnesses, and over 80% of those people were getting better on the placebo. I repeat, they were getting better on the placebo.
Get the hammer out.
Is the Taoists say what you believe is true. What you believe is true for you. You are your own creator. And the whole thing of like people say, that's nonsense. So, well, then that's right. That's right for you. But if you believe in it, there are kids, and UK, but the kids in America, with the old lightsaber, the kids in America who had terminal cancer, and they were taught to think of the cancer as Darth Vader, and their body's immune system was the Jedi. And so to send the Jedi off to defeat Darth Vader. And those kids, not only, they didn't put the cancer in remission, they basically eradicated the cancer from the body. But again, they don't. The main pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know that sort of information. So like, you know, we talk about other cures like cannabis oil, certain other proteins, certain other things, but you yourself can eradicate your illness. You yourself, so manifestation stuff, you is physically being proven through placebos that people can cure their own illnesses, either to a minimum degree, to a maximum degree, as in eradicate the illness. Cure, because what created it is negativity. And that's what they also know, and that's what the medical profession admits, that stress is the prime cause for illness. It increases the chances of illness, stress, worry, and negativity. And the irony is, in America and in England, especially in Europe, what's the biggest thing the media, the press focus on? Negativity, stress, worry, terrorism. It's all the negative things. Don't focus on the positive. Why? Because they say bad news sells. Bad news sells. But it only sells because they say it sells. You know, if you say, oh, life's meant to be hard, and you over and over and over again, it will be. You know, I can teach you an exercise, and if you practice it 15 minutes for every day, in 6 weeks, your health, but also within 6 weeks that will become a habit, just like combing your hair is a habit, or brushing your teeth, or picking your nose, or holding a war hammer at the right moment. You know, these are all habit forming things. Most of what you do are habits. Most of what you say is habits. There was an interesting post, this is the last thing I'll say, there was an interesting post that I shared just a couple last year, and it said that negativity and racism, being, you know, hating other races, and hate and negativity are all taught. You don't grow up hating people. You don't originally as a baby are negative or racist to anybody, and you don't hate anybody. These things are taught, and
it's self-perpetuated.
And it's a little bit like, you know, it's like anything is focus on the whole thing of true manifestation is you focus on what you want. Focus on what you want. We tend to focus on what we don't want and how we don't want it, and that's what we get more of, because I've had so many people I know who said, why do I always lose money, or why do I always, everything always goes wrong, why do I always get people that hurt me, why do I always get negative stuff? Keep focusing on it. Focus on what you want. That's what you need to do. But hey, what do I know?
That's a good point, actually. You just like brought something up in my head that I'd like to actually talk about, to be quite honest. But before y'all carry on, what you were talking about the mind over matter, there's a good video on YouTube called Holographic Universe, and it has a load of scientists talking a lot about that, and they go into the science of it all. So anyone who don't believe in it, find out for yourself, Holographic Universe, and the scientist people will tell you.
Also,
no, carry on.
So Greg Braden.
Yeah, that's another one, isn't it?
Greg Braden has got a video, and I've been to it's a temple. It's now become a clinic, but the original temple in China that he refers to, Greg Braden talks about. He's got a video where they eradicate a tumor cell in this woman in less than 5 minutes, and they're doing it by thought. They're saying, it's like they're saying a magic word. They're saying wassa, wassa. Wassa means already happened. It is. It has already happened. So, like you were talking about earlier, about everything's already happened, they are focusing on the fact. So, again, you don't focus on what you want, you focus on already having it. Because what you want will always be what you're wanting, out of reach, trying to grab. What you've already got, it's already there. And the brain, and psychology fact is that the brain cannot tell the difference between what you imagine and what is real. When you get a sportsman to imagine he's in a race and prepare for a race and go and be in that race, his heart rate increases, his or her heart rate increases, they get hotter, their muscles are flexing, because the brain cannot tell the difference between what you imagine and what you're doing.
Exactly. There's what you were talking about the concentrating on positives more than negatives. It's a good point. I see a lot of people, not so much now, but it was a couple of years ago, a lot of the conspiracy stuff, which is true, but the more you talk about us and them, the more you create that scenario and the more you empower that scenario. And it's a lot, to me, if you go out there and you're trying to tell people, look, this is what, these governments, all these elite are doing, and you're trying to show people that they're doing all of this through some unseen way, because you can't show anyone actual physical proof of how they do it without it sounding completely nuts. But what you can do is give people logical solutions to the problems that they've created that you can't explain without confusing them, if you see what I mean. You can explain stuff to people about how things are done, how negative things are done to create the problems that we've got, but that gets messy and it's hard to explain unless you believe it. But to actually give a positive solution that is visible and that you can give someone the credibility of how this positive solution can help a problem that they've created, that's a whole lot better, and it enforces that positive stuff a lot more. So it's good to know that what is going on in the world, but then once you know, then focus on creating a solution, which is a whole lot more productive.
I absolutely agree. I had something I wanted to throw in to the conversation earlier about all time happening once. I feel like a lot of times, being someone who makes a lot of art, I feel like that is basically a lot of times what you're doing when you're making an art piece, especially when you're making like a sculpture. I feel like there's this interaction that you have where you're looking at something and you're trying to make, since all time's already happened and it's happening at once, you're making something that already exists. So when you're making something that already exists, it's just a matter of taking the material. Let's say you're a sculptor and you work in wood, right? So it's just a matter of taking the piece of wood that you have and getting rid of the things that ultimately will not be there. So all that you're ultimately trying to do, in my perception, is you're staring at something and trying to turn it into what it's destined to be. So all you have to do is relax your mind enough to see it as it will be instead of as it is now. And then you just have to have the skill to remove the parts that are not going to be serving in the future. So the extra bits of wood, however you're doing that with files or saws or whatever. And so you're just bringing something into the now that already exists in the future. So it's not necessarily a creative process. It's a process of removal of the things that are not needed, of the char, of the unused, of the unneeded energy. And with that, then it creates the thing that already exists in the future. You're just facilitating it, making it into the now. So I think a lot of times being an artist as being a facilitator of future things coming into the now, not necessarily like I own this idea, like I made this thing, like this flag behind me that I made for a friend of mine. It already existed. I knew it already existed a couple years ago when I started it. So it's just a matter of trying to focus enough and pay enough attention to get it into this realm without becoming impatient or messing up the process somewhere along the way. That's kind of my thought.
It's funny you said that, because there's a woman I know, Red Willow, her name is, and on a Facebook friend, as she put the other day, does everything already exist? She said, everything I think of, I think it's to do with food. She does a lot to do with vegan food. And she obviously gets an idea And then she finds out that it's already happened. She says it just keeps happening. She's getting a bit irritated, I think. Well, I assume she was, but I'm sure that's what she was getting at. Like everything that pops into her head. I've had it myself. I thought, I've got this great name for this new style of healing. I thought, I'll check it up. That's bloody there, isn't it? And then I've had it where I'm lying there and I've sat there and I've had a meditation. And not even that. I've just had an idea, and then the next day, someone brings it up on Facebook, for example.
Yeah.
So that was my idea. But it's like, was it my idea, or was I just seeing the future before it's already happened? I mean, who knows? But I think
the ancient saying on that is that the universe, whether you call it the Tao, whether you call it God, whether you call it Banana Man, it doesn't matter. The universe itself fires out ideas to several, to hundreds, to thousands of people.
It's a bit like
throwing seeds into the ground. And some people will run with that idea and some people won't. But the idea is it gives it to many people, and then it's up to you. It's up to you what you do with that idea.
Yeah, that's exactly like turtles, I suppose. Life knows that a load of them are going to get eaten and a load of them are going to drown or whatever, so they produce a lot of them. And same with sperm, not all of them are going to get to the egg. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. What a great way of looking at it. But then
Go ahead.
When things like that happen to me, you get that instant moment of jealousy. That was my idea. That would have looked great. But then you have to sit there and think, well, no, man. It's a good thing it's happened, no matter who's done it. As long as it's happened and it's being brought into fruition, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Like you said before, it's actually that narrowing perspective. Is that if that idea, you're narrowing down to, well, hold up, if you're getting upset, somebody else is. What you're saying is you're getting upset because you're saying, I can't come up with another great idea like that, which is nonsense.
Yeah.
If you came up with an idea and somebody else brought it, which is now a good idea, that means you can come up with others. So you focus on, look, I came up with that idea and that's an awesome idea. I want to come up with some more ideas just like that one. And that's what you
see the positive. So again, you're looking at the positive of it. Making what was seen as a negative as a positive, and it's quite empowering actually. That thought, it's
not a negative. That's the point. It's not, that somebody else sharing. Say to the ancient ones and to certain philosophies, and there's a book called The Law of One. They talk about that the universe is a lot about the universe is one. Everything is one. But if everything is one, that means your mind is one. You feel alone, but you share your thoughts with everybody else in the universe. It's just that you don't feel that at that moment in time. So, but the whole point is that this great idea, somebody else comes up with it, it's trying to say to you, whispering, everyone is one. Everyone is one.
That's why we all need to come together.
One. Come together right now.
That's what it's all about. Coming together and creating together and sharing ideas and working together and thinking systematically. Yeah, working as one. But while I'm here, actually, I want to put that out because this conscious spa camp thing I'm doing. Before I carry on, Ethan.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're sitting there going, there was something I was going to say and it's got lost, or you was going to say something and then I carried on, so then you stopped. And do you remember?
I do remember. Actually, I wanted to say there's thank you. There's a great book. I've only read a little bit of it, and I can't remember the name of it off my top of my head. It has to do with creativity. The woman who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, it's a very well-known book. She wrote a book about creativity, and the way she talked about, I haven't read very much of it. My roommate was reading me bits of it a while ago. And something in there that I absolutely loved was this idea that thoughts are entities. Concepts are entities that go around to other people and like knock on the door of your consciousness. So let's take, for example, the cure for a disease. You know, someone will find it, and then it'll make it into the Akashic records, and then a bunch of other people will find it in like close succession. So this idea that thoughts are just going around to different people and being like, "Hey, do you want to have a relationship with me? Do you want to help me manifest?" And some people are like, "No, fuck off." Oh, there goes the PG rating, Boggy.
You could even say, "Do you want to make love with me?" Really?
Yeah, totally. Because art
in a nice sense.
Absolutely. So I really like that idea that there's these thoughts going around that are asking people if they want to have relationships with them, and then it goes into another step of like when, for instance, I made a hat for a guy, a patchwork wizard hat. I know somebody else that's made patchwork wizard hats. Our hats look nothing the same. Not like you can tell they're both wizard hats, but they're so far from each other. They're both wizard hats. They're both patched. But because of the filter that it went through to come through me and the filter that it went through to come through this other fellow, the hat is completely different. So the same general idea, the same context is shaped so much by the lens of our creativity, the lens of our consciousness, that even if we do have the same idea, it can come out completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's amazing how like the synchronicity occurs, and the fact that I put forward for you to remember what you wanted to say, because it's just helped. Something you've said just brought up something else. Yeah, good point.
Can I just quickly say? Sorry, can I quickly say it was Elizabeth Gilbert. Elizabeth
good.
Gilbert wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Okay.
Sounds like a beautiful book, actually. But I'm going to get hold of that and read it. I like the sound of that. The way you just sound quite poetic and nice. Basically, what you were saying about everyone can, even if it's the same thing, you know, like meditation. Basically, if you want to look, meditation is meditation. It's the same. Ultimately, it takes you to the same thing, but there's a slightly different twist. And a lot of people I find on networking sites, a lot of the new age community, there's still that little bit of fear of, I don't want to show what I'm doing, or I don't want to work with this person because they're doing the same thing as me, and I want to do my thing. And I can understand that from if they're doing it for a living, I can completely understand that, and I can understand the slight egotistical thing to it all. I mean, we're all here. There's a reason for that. It's to keep us going, doing what we're doing. But putting that aside, if everyone was to realise that your Ethan's meditation, Boggy's meditation, Christopher's meditation, and my meditation, they would all be slightly different, and they would all be wonderful. And if, for example, if people are doing that for a living, and their idea is they don't want you to do something with you, or they don't want to shit. They don't all want to share something on the site where everyone's similar or doing the same thing because they feel like they're going to lose out. But for example, if you've got 100 meditation teachers, if these 100 meditation teachers all decided, right, we'll all teach our meditation to each other, that's 100 nights of activity, of mixing with like-minded people, of growth, of higher nature, of energy, bringing brought forth of cool meetups, of inspiration, just by, you know, sharing your meditational techniques with other people. And then if you charge money for it, for example, if you have 100 people come, 100 different meditation teachers, for example, you charge, I don't know, £5-10 each, work that out by 100. That's a lot of money, and that would keep you going over. And then if each person was to do that, you'd all be making out of it. You'd all be inspiring each other. The diary would be booked with great, cool things of meeting up with like-minded people constantly. So even if you look at it in that respect, just by us doing things and offering our services to each other, which are essentially the same, it's beautiful. We can make a living out of it. We can inspire each other. We can then, it makes sense on all levels.
Totally. I totally agree.
So yeah, your point about the same thing being done completely different by different people, it's spot on. So get the hammer out and You've hit the nail on the head again. It's
You've been awfully quiet. You got anything? I know you got something. You're lurking over there. I see you lurking.
Yeah, Chris, you haven't said anything for a long time. Speak.
I just there's a couple of things. It's like something that's come to me is you keep talking about connecting with people, and there's just this phrase in my head called the human network, and that's how I'm thinking about it. It's like not limiting yourself to, like, we're very much taught to be insular in society. I think we've talked about this before in the show, where you have to do everything. You're not part of the tribe anymore, so someone's not. Ethan's best at explaining this, but
should I explain it real quick?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, like in the old days when you had a tribe, you only had one job, right? You're either the hunter, or you're the wise person, or you're the healer, or you're the clothes maker, or whatever your job is. You have one job, and you know that the rest of the tribe is going to support you. You don't have to worry about going out and hunting, because you know the hunter's going to do that, because he's going to trust you, because you're all part of the same tribe and you're living. The hunter is going to trust you to make. For me, I make clothes, so the hunter is going to trust me to make his clothes. So all he has to do is go hunting. All I have to do is make the clothes, because I know that the rest of the community will support me. We don't have that anymore. We're like, because the tribe has gotten so big that it's become segmented and kind of fallen apart. So now I have to be my own hunter. I have to be my own wise woman, or wise man, or healer. I have to be my own clothes maker. I have to do all of those jobs for myself that really I'm not designed to do. So I have to make a lot more decisions than I would otherwise. And so the amount of stress and cutting out of my personal energies is huge compared to what it would have been if I was in a tribe. Because now I'm thinking about, like, I have to think about marketing for my clothes business. I have to think about where my supplies are coming from my clothes business. I have to think about all of these things that ordinarily would be, that the tribe would be helping me with. I am now responsible for doing it. So that's the segue. Go, Chris.
Yeah. So what I was thinking about the human network is that we're sort of implicitly taught, and this is the sort of the question, if you like. Do you feel that we're implicitly taught to be self-sufficient nowadays and not to rely on the human network around us and to place trust in others to help us?
I'm going to plug someone here, because it just remind me, I was reading up saying that I've just found someone put something on Facebook. I'm just going to find his name, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry?
As long as you don't start playing music, it's totally fine.
No.
Chris
Where's his name? 1 second. I've got it here. I'm going to spell it, but he's just started a project, and it's called Incubator 1, and it's his name's Matthew Kocilia Fitzgerald. The Kocilia is, I don't know if I said it right, it's Kociela. I mean, if you go on my Facebook, you'll see him on there. He's brilliant. He's actually inspired me a lot. He's just become a life coach, and he's got this no old bars, no bullshit way. I mean, he likes to swear a bit too much. I haven't got a problem with that, but some people have. But he's fresh, he's new, and he's great. And he's just started this project, which basically, going back to what Ethan was just saying, he's telling people, you've got your ideas, give us a 5-minute interview of your ideas, and you can do your part, which is basically the idea is your part, and then you give it to them, and they've got all the people, they've got the marketing people, they've got all of that covered. So if anyone is interested and they need someone to do that, I'd look him up, Matthew Kociela Fitzgerald. I mean, go back and rewind if you want to find the middle name, because I don't know how you properly say it. But I think we need to rely on each other. We really need to do, and that's the whole concept of this to me is relying on each other. And for me, I want to do great things, but I want to do it with lots of other people. And this Conscious Spa Camps, I'm going off a bit here, but I might as well use the opportunity, because this is about me, of course. This is my way. But I'm going to plug myself for once. And conscious spa camps, like I said before, is to get people to go with their own tuition, so a lot more of this can happen. And I create a franchise, basically, or a license aspect. So I want other people to do the same. I want them to pay me a monthly fee to use the Conscious Spa Camp's name, and they'll get the information. There'll be lots of other stuff we'll give them, so they can go off and do it themselves. I'll teach them, I'll give them my information to help them be able to do the same. And I used to have a problem with taking money, but I'm going to charge for it, and I want the money, and I want the money to go on other things. And I feel it's important using this moment to use this moment to tell people the money I'm going to be using for, the money I'm going to be charging, even if it's considered a lot of money, it's going to be going towards other stuff. It's a non-profit. I see my life as a non-profit thing. I don't want big cars and this and that. I just want stuff to make me comfortable so I can help do more stuff with more people. And that's where the money's going to go into lots of other projects, because I just have ideas, but I need other people to do it. And this is one of the ideas. And I think it's important from now on for people to know where their money's going. And this goes back to ethical thinking. I think everyone needs to know what they're spending their money on. And if people are going to pay me, I think it's good for them to know what the money's going on. For example, we pay the government and most things, institutions, it's like one big charity, but it's a charity it's a bit of a corrupt charity where we don't know where the money's going, and most of the money goes on shit like rockets to bomb Syria and what have you, and a lot of negative stuff. So I think people want to know now what they're spending, where it's going towards, and that comes down to conscious conscience, basically, and conscious awareness of being conscious of what people are doing with what. You want to know that if you're giving someone something, they're going to do something positive with it, and I am. So if anyone wants to start up conscious spa camps anywhere else, they want to use the name, they want the information, the t-shirts, whatever else, please do call. If you want to go and do it in another country, go straight ahead. My website is not quite finished at the moment because I've decided I want to reset it all again, because I've just had a load of ideas and I want to completely change it, because a lot of the ideas that I've suddenly had all revolve around sharing. I want to create a page. I've actually got a website called Conscious Spa Gates, which if anyone's interested to go on it to advertise yourself, Boggy, absolutely anyone. It's for like a holistic directory for people to find holistic stuff. There is stuff out there, but I've done my own one as well. And my charge a small fee, but that money would again to go into another thing. And if anyone's interested, leave me an email. The email address is mcdonaldpaul04@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you on that. And it's just using them, just ethical. What are we spending our money on? Where's our money going? And that brings me on to another thing. I'd like to do corporate work, basically conscious consultations. I'd like to talk and work with people who run corporate businesses who they want to do something that's worthwhile, that is ethical, that is conscious, that does help towards the whole. And I believe nowadays more than ever, people in their positions are starting to question what they're doing, and they need help. They need to get out of that neural mindset of money. They need help to think of their business. They need help to think systematically how their money can help the whole, how they can manage their company to help the whole systematically. So yeah, if anyone's interested, then please do get in touch. Another thing I'd like to do is, for example, with a coaching side of things, I can only take so much work on myself. So I'd like to set up some sort of program where, for example, I don't know, £5 or £10 a month, as cheap as chips, for life coaching, for healing, for exercise information videos. For example, if Boggy wanted to work together, if a few people, Ethan, or whatever you do, if a few people want to work together and we create a package together where people can pay just £5 or £10 a month to have this whole package of stuff that's online. We're on an online community now. We can do everything over the computer, or most things, and we can, you know, like Boggy, he can do his Tai Chi online. He can do a lesson to 100 people who are all paying £5 a month, and I can do my conscious spa camp. Someone else can do mindfulness. Another person can do the marketing advice, and it just makes sense again on so many levels. And me personally, I like the fact of doing things like that. I want to offer something at a low price to lots of people, so lots of people who are not in a position where they can pay £500 to learn, you know, the secrets of blah blah, you know, to life coach to create their business. I personally don't want someone just paying me £500 for my advice, just, you know, to keep that whole money thing going. I prefer to know that I've helped lots of people, so to get into a position where they can do the same thing. And yeah, that's my concept of what Conscious Spa Camps is about. And if anyone's interested, anyone wants to work with me on this concept, revolve around these concepts, please do get in touch. And again, email me at mcdonaldpaul04@gmail.com. For example, I'm working on something at the moment. This is with I'm not going to say the man's name because I haven't talked it over with him. He's been on the news. He's a kid psychologist, and he works with lots of schools. And he's come and he's interested. Well, he come to one of my sessions of Conscious Spa Camps, and he wants to take it into schools. And I think it's great, going back to what you were saying about with kids earlier, to do with the cancer and kids' mindset. The fact of bringing something into schools where we can bring it into such a young age. Good night, Summer. I just saying good night to my daughter. At such a young age, to help them realise what they can do with their mind. I love the idea of it. So there's one example. I've got another lady I work with, I do partners with. Her name is Anne Boone. She's got a charity called Relief from Pain. So if you want to look that up, she wants to do some great stuff. And the idea is with this coaching thing, I'd like to charge £5 or £10 an hour. I'm not quite sure yet. I've got to look at the dynamics of it all. If we're getting other people involved, so everyone can make off of it. But I'd like to offer the healing side of it as a donation, and the healing would be, the donated money would go to a charity, and the healing is going to be part of the package, because I believe the healing is a big part of a change in people. And the whole idea with the healing and with the other package is we've got to go beyond healing, because people think if they come and have healing, everything's going to be hunky-dory after, they're going to feel great. No, healing, to me, when I do healing on people personally, I feel like I'm destroying something in them. I'm destroying everything that works for self, basically, and I'm destroying that. And when that does that, that brings up a lot of crap. So then the other stuff is there basically for beyond healing. The other stuff, the life coaching, the metaphysical stuff I do is there to help manage that. And again, with meditation, we use meditation, which is focus, to get us in connection with oneness. But then that oneness is connected to everything. And that's not always peaceful. That can bring about a lot of crap, because until the whole world is connected, the half the world, for example, who are connected, they're going to experience all the shit that's going on. So they need to manage that energy, and that's the same thing again. Like beyond healing, beyond meditation, they need to manage it. So that comes under the coaching thing again. And I've really gone off of stray here. Getting back to my friend Anne with the charity work. So it involves her, but her thing ties in with my thing. I just think it's, again, just work with other people, work with other healers. If you're a meditation teacher, work with other meditation teachers. You know, teach each other your own aspect. Everything on every level works a whole lot more better when you work with other people. Again, that Mandela effect.
I absolutely agree. I think that one of the greatest things in life that we can do for ourselves is to make friends with everyone.
Yeah.
Because if you ever need a friend and everyone is your friend, then how can it possibly go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Like another example. Sorry, Boggy, you talk.
Say those where if it says about talking to everybody, there was a case study on luck, and it was only done about 10 years ago, and the basis of the thing they found is where, you know, with luck, what makes people lucky, and their overall thing was probability. The more people you talk to, the more you interact with people, the more opportunities open up and the more lucky you will be. So, you know, you want, and some people post at their Facebook, so, oh no, you mustn't share stuff. And I think that's more of a negative point of view. It's that cutting you off. I think you should share your ideas. I think you should talk to other people, because your ideas will expand. You know, is the whole point. So yeah, talking to other people, and as you said, you made a brilliant point. Is that everybody has a slightly different way of doing the same thing. I'm a great believer of having. I've had different students who have become Sifus, and they teach in a slightly different way to me. And there's a group. I'm slowly building up a group of Sifus who have different ways of teaching, because people learn in different ways. So you can all teach the same thing, but because everybody learns in a different way, and you would have learned in a different way, because there was six main learning Q? There's 6 main ways people learn with 6 intelligences.
Yeah, and there's there's 3 styles of learning. There's kinesthetic. There's I can't remember them all. Yeah, really, there's like the 3 basic levels, and then they interact with each other in different ways. It's like hands-on, hearing, and seeing. It's basically the 3, and then there's different variations within that of like the combinations of the 2 and stuff like that.
So the whole point is like you said about that hundreds people did meditation, and even very few people have just one, like on meditation. Well, if you have one style of meditation, they'll have a couple, or one form, they'll have a couple. So even if they had 3, and so it's not just 100 people giving 100 styles, it's actually 100 people giving 3 techniques each. That's 300 techniques. If you learn those 300, so yes, you're sharing your techniques, but so is everybody else. And you would gain new techniques that you could then use as part of your system. Yeah, so you share and help each other.
Yeah, and then you've got like the meet-up side of it as well, basically. So the more of you keep meeting up, then it creates more synchronicities again. It works out in all ways. Just another point I just want to make quickly is our conscience and how that affects us subconsciously later on in life. If there are people who don't want to share, who don't want to do things with others, they're doing it out of a place of fear or for all the wrong reasons in a way, and even if they know that, but they can't get beyond it, they've got to really understand the dynamics of reality and of consciousness and how we hold stuff and how it affects us. I mean, if you know deep down you're not doing everything you can do, and you're being selfish to a sense, you're going to hold on to stuff, you're going to hold on to energy, and that can manifest in all sorts of ways. That can stay in you because it's holding on, and that can come out later on in life as heart attacks. I mean, most corporate people, where they don't give out and they take, they end up with heart attacks. They end up with a lot of anxiety problems, a lot of stress, because they're not giving out. I mean, and I put that out to, again, if there's anyone out there who runs corporations who wants to do something differently, get in contact and let's talk about doing stuff, doing business in a way, ethical, sustainable, where your conscious can be free, where you can die a happy man, you can die peaceful knowing that you've done your best, and you can die healthily rather than from anxiety, stress and heart disease and all the rest of the nasty stuff, which is a common, can't even think of the word, a process of holding on to crap. Not that that's always the case, but you get my gist.
There's research that's been done with type 1, they call it type 1 and type 2 thinking. I can't remember which one is which. One of them is where you think in blaming. It's your fault that this happened, where we blame other people for things and we don't take responsibility. And then there's the other form of thinking where we take responsibility, because we're all 50% responsible for any part of a relationship, whatever that relationship may be. So we always have a choice. We might not like the choices, but the research that's been done with those two forms of thinking consistently finds that the people who are blaming, it's your fault that I was late, it's the person who was driving in front of me whose fault it was that I was late for work because they were driving slow. Well, you could have left earlier. You could have, like that kind of mentality. They consistently find that the people who have that form of thinking have higher heart disease, heart attacks, because your heart is the center of love. So if you're giving away your love and your personal power in a negative way, like blaming people, not taking responsibility, not holding love as the highest priority, that will affect your heart. As above, so below. So if you have a closed heart, it's like, here, my favorite example. How many people do you know that when you're talking to them, they go like this?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think they're doing? Closing their heart chakra. Yeah, fine, close your heart chakra off. See how well it does for you in the long run, So science has proven this. There's Heart Math. The Heart Math Institute does a lot of research on this, and how the heart. They've actually been recently proving that the heart is actually responding to things before they happen, because the heart is actually open and aware enough.
And Greg Barden again talks a lot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly cut you in full flow. Then I apologise, Ethan.
No, it's cool. I'll ramble on forever if nobody shuts me up.
While we're talking about that and about how we can use this concept of empathic, of ethnical, sustainable thinking throughout the world, there's another man I wrote down, and his name is Stephen Vasconcelos Sharp. There's another person you could get through my Facebook, Paul McDonald, and it's called Introduction to Business Consulting for Ethical World. Basically, it's a good book, and it's called, what is it called? Language. I can't find it now. Cell language, but it's basically talking about this concept of doing stuff ethically, and I think we need to do that more and more. And there's people out there that need to do that more and more. Lose fear, and again, coming back to the same thing, just work together, man, and do things together, co-create together. I get told about, think of yourself first. No, I get told, focus on one thing. Focus on many things. Do a spider's web, the inside out, a mandala, focus. Let intuition shoot out where it's supposed to shoot. Don't try and control it. And then even if it seems like you'll go mad, even if it seems like you're ungrounded and you're not focusing, just let it come out, and it will all draw back into a centre point. That's been the case for my life. I've done lots of stuff over the past 3 years, and it seemed like, oh, you're unstable, you're ungrounded, you're putting yourself off in too many places. You need to pull yourself back in. No, man. I've created a spider's web, and then I've put all these ideas out, and they've grown, they've been seeded. Even if they didn't seem right to people then, they will seem right at some point. That's why it's come through me intuitively to do that. And then that spider's web will all link up and come back, which it is doing. Several different projects I've got going on, which I constantly get ideas, ping, 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 and I put them out there. It's all coming back absolutely beautifully, where I just crazy, where I look at stuff and think, I can't believe that matches with that, and that matches with that, and it's just put it out there. Don't worry about focusing too much, just go with the flow and go with your way, the way of conscious mindfulness, the way of conscious awareness.
Don't worry about just plant the seeds and move on. I mean, that's to me what it boils down to, is that you don't plant the seed and then sit there and go, okay, seed, I'm ready for you to grow. And then you sit there and you watch the seed, and it doesn't grow. And then you stress out because the seed isn't growing. Plant a seed. Go plant another seed. Go plant another seed.
Exactly, and it comes back to what you were saying about like the I can't remember what it was, but what I referred to as the sperm, as putting. Well, I think Boggy, you mentioned it about the universe putting out loads of thoughts. It's the same thing. You've got to put out loads of things. You can't, if you just have one idea, you're gonna become stagnant, and I don't think it's good, Percy. You need to have other options in case you need to have loads of ideas as well, in case, like I said earlier, like my friend Red Willow, someone else has already done it. So
Yeah.
you need to have something else to rely on. And just while I'm here, I'm going to plug another person, a good friend of mine called Michael Van Dommelen. He's got this pendant he's making, and this pendant is, here it is. And what it says on it is, I am a light walker for tolerance and compassion on earth. And I like the story behind this. He's talking about when everyone wears these, obviously he wants everyone to wear them because it's going to help him, but he's a selfless person, and whatever money he gets off of this, he's going to put into helping the bloody world, this bloke, beautiful soul. And the idea is with this, if everyone's wearing this message, then you're putting that construct, that energy out there. So please do. I mean, it's a beautiful little thing. Get out there and buy one of them. I've got his link. If anyone wants to know, again, email at me at my email address, which I've already said, or look him up. He's on my Facebook site. Look through Boggy. His name is Michael Van Dommelen, and it's such a beautiful message. And again, he's another person. He's like Boggy, and there's a few people I've met lately. A lot like yourselves, Ethan. Just people a lot like Brendan. Is it Brendan from Paradise? Yeah. There's these people, these new neural universal NLP practitioners. They're beautiful people that want to work towards creating something beautiful. And I find sometimes that we're the ones who struggle. All these people who want it for self, they get what they want. And the reason they get what they want is because they're still part of that old neural pathway. And if you look at it as a magnetic thing, they'll get what they want because they're in that magnetic pathway that's working for that. And we're working towards creating this new neural pathway, which is hard. Just like you want to change neural ways in your head, like to change negative. If you're someone who's got a certain mindset and you go and see an NLP practitioner to help you think a certain way, it's hard to change that neural pathway because that's a strong thought path. And it's like us, we're finding it hard because the current reality that we're all experiencing, or the current neural reality of the universal mind, is in a way for self. And that's magnetically, it's going to keep empowering that pathway more. So we've got to keep going and keep strong. We've got to be these universal NLP practitioners and carry on doing what we're doing. And it's working. We're all meeting each other, and it's happening. You can feel the magic. You can feel it happening. I was looking at like views that you've had on Sandra's the way of conscious mindfulness with Sandra. The amount of views she had compared to the amount of views I had when I was on it. Not that I'm worried about that, but it just goes to show that what we're doing is great. What you're doing, Boggy, is absolutely beautiful, and you can feel it from you. There's just some amazing people out there doing amazing stuff, and carry it on. We will change that neural pathway.
Well, don't worry. We're now doing podcasts.
Wonderful.
So it'll be sent out for even more people. It will be in the next week or so. We'll finalise all the podcasts, and we'll start. This show will go out quite soon, and thing for us is doing the podcasts. And that show, Sandra, I think a lot of that was because it was a particular subject. Is because it was massage and reflexology, and it seems to be a very the actual related videos to that subject were massaging of half-naked women, which is probably why it got as many hits as it did, because they were expecting half-naked women. They got half-naked Ethan, but I don't think that's quite the same. But
whatever.
Anyway.
Whatever brings attention, basically. I mean, it's good. She's wonderful at what she does. I know Sandra very well. It's nothing relevant to this, but I'll tell you anyway. She's a pivotal person in my life. For example, my girlfriend's mum passed away when she was a baby, and then as soon as I got with her, I went to see Sandra, and she had a crystal shop. I've gone in there, and she says, "I don't normally tell people this, but you have a lady with you called Evelyn." Well, I don't know many British women who are called well, probably are, but I don't know any Evelyn. And I've come back and told my girlfriend that that's my mum. It's just that she's a pivotal person in my life, and she is she is a wonderful, great person. You can see it in the eyes, and she just wants to work with everyone. She's so free. You just another lovely lady. If you want a good healer, go and see her, Sandra Francis. Amazing lady. She's going to do great stuff. And hug her all day long. Lovely lady. That didn't sound right, did it?
It's fine. Sounded fine. Right, I just need to quickly say, right, I need your help here on the surname. I think it's Brandy Con on YouTube. Sorry, I'll make it clearer so Chris knows what I'm talking about. On YouTube, we've got a message. Brandy, if you're still there, can you just clarify your message? Because it just says the oneness and interconnectedness of life. Was that a question? Just a statement of what we were talking about at the time? Because I know we were talking about that. If you're still about, do you want to just clarify, sort of, or ask an actual question? That'd be cool. Questioner, do you have anything?
I may have something up the sleeve right here. You've talked about NLP, and just in case nobody knows what someone's new and doesn't know what NLP is, could you just give a really quick explanation as to what the NLP letters stand for, please?
Neuro linguistic programming. I'm not an NLP therapist, but I don't think I need to be an NLP therapist to help someone with something which I'm not even going to label it NLP, so I'm not an NLP therapist, but I can call it whatever I want. I don't go by licenses too much. I go by my own philosophy. So NLP is just neuro-linguistic programming, meaning it's helping you change your neural thought pathways. In your head, you've got a network of thought pathways, a bit like a tree, a bit like lightning. And the stronger thought, the most predominant thought in your head, you create more of it, basically. And then people who think negative, they attract more negative. It's a magnetic thing, and then the more negative you think, the more negative you think. Basically, the more positivity you think, the more you pull positive thoughts into your mindset. And then it's quite an important thing when you take into account that the outside is a reflection of the inside. So if you're feeling and thinking positive, outside of you is going to reflect that right back at you. And that's a good point to make to people about them feeling positive about themselves. And basically, no, I won't go down that route. I was going to go off a different route, but that would go completely off scale. So yeah, that's what NLP is basically in a nutshell. Strengthening positive thought, neural pathways.
There's one of my favorite Native American teaching lores, where a little boy goes to his grandfather. He's talking to his grandfather about good and bad and that sort of thing. And the grandfather says, there are two wolves that live inside each one of us. One is a wolf of darkness and one is a wolf of light. And the little boy says, well, which one is stronger and which one has more power? And the grandfather turns and says, the one that you feed more. So it's going to be there. The light and the dark is going to be there. But which do you want to feed more? Because whichever you feed more is going to become a much stronger and more powerful beastie. So if you want to feed the darkness, if you want to watch the news all the time, buy into the fear, be a consumer, not be conscious, then that's what you're going to get back. That's what's going to be fed back to you from that wolf. But if you want to feed the love, the consciousness, the compassion, that's what you're going to get more back of, because that's what you're putting out. It's like the universe. One of my favorite examples for manifesting in the universe is it's like the Grand Canyon. You walk up to the Grand Canyon, you bellow what you want at the Grand Canyon and listen for the echo. So if you say, someday I will be healthy, the universe is going to yell back at you, someday you will be healthy. That's why when that guy, what you guys were talking about, that guy who had done the research where they were healing tumors, they were saying, it's already done. It's already happened, because that way the universe will yell back, you are already healed, instead of you will heal someday, or you are healing.
That's a bit like Bashar. He's another good one for people to look at. He talks about when you look in the mirror, you don't look and what was it he says about smiling? You don't look and think, change expect the mirror to smile back at you if you're not smiling. You've got to smile first for the mirror to
Exactly.
reflect that back at you.
Exactly. I totally agree.
But then talking about like negative and positive, and going back to the universal change thing, in this current universal neural pathway, there is a lot of negativity. So why don't we use that negative? Because to me, negativity feels strong. When I feel negative, I feel this dense feeling in my gut. And in your gut is also the place of, from what I understand, your gut in Chinese culture, if I'm right, Boggy, is the place of creating, of projecting. I've heard stories. Sorry?
You have the solar plexus. The solar plexus within in the medical world in the West. The solar plexus. You've got the solar plexus chakra, which is said to be the solar plexus is your nerve center. It's all your that gut feeling, what butterflies in your belly, is actually the nexus of nerves, the solar plexus, where emotions gather. So it's a nerve. In this center, it's a nerve center. In the gut, there are neurons in the nerve that fire emotion. In philosophy, you have Qi, Jing, and Shen. Qi resides in the belly. Jing resides in the heart. Jing fuels emotional vitality. So it starts off on one end, it's passion, and the other end, it's compassion. So it's the yin and the yang. Where's the hammer? It's the yin and yang of the heart. Is on one end would be passion, and the other end is compassion. So between the heart and the belly, you have a nexus of different emotions going on there.
Yeah, it's like relating to that. Well, there's a story. I was watching a program with Joanna Lumley when she was in Egypt, and she was talking to a fisherman on a boat, and he was telling her old tales that he'd been told, passed down from a kid. That I don't know. This is one one story of how the things were made, the pyramids were made. He said that people physically move stuff. People would get together in a group in a circle, and they would concentrate the intention with the Qi energy in their gut, and they would, or their solar plexus area, and they would all concentrate and focus with that energy from that point, and with that mindful intention on moving that with magnetic. Well, it'd end up being magnetic energy, I suppose. They would affect the matter around them to shift it, and that's how they reckon they shifted and moved stuff. A bit like that. A lot of these gigantic rocks and stones. That's just one way of how they reckon they've done it, and it makes a lot of sense to me. And another thing regarding like negative energy, when I feel negative energy, it feels dense to me. It feels really, really strong. So I sit there sometimes, and when I feel negative, I sit there and I watch it, and then I ask, well, what is negative energy? I sit there and feel it. Well, what does it feel like? It just feels like a vibration. Why does it feel bad? And in the end, you get past it anyway, because you realise it's just a feeling. But that negative feeling is a real high vibration. I've come to notice in awareness, and it's such a thick vibration. I'm sure negative energy, maybe I'm wrong, some physicists may completely get me wrong, but I like to believe this myself, and the placebo effect, it works for me, the placebo effect, to believe in this. That negative energy is lots of light, for example. When you have light, when you put lots of light and lots of positive light energy and store it up and up and up and up, it become thick and dense like a cloud filled up with water. And then the pressure building up will feel uncomfortable. It will make you feel uncomfortable, but use that negative energy, and that's where you clash negative and positive and put the two polar opposites together to create and transcend and create something new. So use your negative energy, feed off that negative energy. There's too much talk about positive, but we need to use that negative, not leave it aside, because it's karmic residue energy. You don't want to leave it to be undealt with. Use it and transmute it, and use it to move mountains, use it to create new stuff.
Absolutely. It's like anger. Everyone thinks that anger is this bad thing. Anger is an incredible power to get you out of a really shitty situation.
Exactly.
You know, like I've known some women in my day who tell me about, really awful situations they found themselves in with the past with the people using them and stuff like that. And they got really pissed off and got out of the situation. If they hadn't gotten really pissed off, they would have stayed stuck in that situation. You know, and I'm not saying like, yeah, go and get angry at everything. That's not what I'm saying at all. And what I am saying is like everything has its purpose. Everything has its place, where anger is an extremely powerful energy that can really help change the world on a certain level if properly implemented. And that's why it's there, to have that explosive, oh, this is unacceptable, something has to change, you know, because otherwise you just stay stuck. Otherwise you just stay complacent, like, oh, this is okay, I'm just gonna stay in this shitty situation.
For example, today, like, because I was only told yesterday about doing this show, today as I'm at work and I get all these ideas, bang, 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 yeah, say this, say that, yep, putting them all down. I mean, my girlfriend, poor thing, she must have did all day, so I used my messenger with her, for her, so jotting down my ideas. So all day I'm jotting all these ideas down so I don't forget, so I can bring it all into the table. But all day I had this real positive vibe. And then I've got indoors, one of my daughters was in a bit of a crappy mood, and I felt myself getting all foggy-headed and negative. And again, I think that's that old neural pathway trying to stop me, because if I'm foggy-headed, I don't feel clear, and I won't do what I'm here to do and say what I'm here to say, which is a thing that's supposed to be done. It's already happened as such in one neural pathway, which wants to happen. But another neural pathway, the universal mind, magnetically, not evil or nothing like that, it's just a magnetic thing. It wants to keep this reality in the way it is. So it wanted to pull me down, I personally thought. It filled my head up with this foggy energy, where I wouldn't have been able to think properly. And I had that when I come in, and I thought, I'm not going to be able to say half this stuff because my head feels stuck and I feel negative. But I sat there and then I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I've started doing healing on my daughter. I've put my hands on her head to almost take the negative stuff away from her. And then I told myself, I'm going to use this to empower what I want to talk about. And I've got my other daughter I've got us all healing. She put her hands on my heart and my back. So she was putting love into me while I was taking the negativity out the other one. And there was this whole transmutation going on. And then my girlfriend, she put her hands on my head. And I just laughed and all this crap come out. I helped my daughter, I helped myself. And now I'm clear. But you could feel that old neural pathway energy wanting to sabotage or wanting to magnetically keep this particular negative neural reality that exists, as well as the one that I want to move into or wants to be moved into. And it's again that to me with negativity is this whole neural reality. So what that's existing and could carry on existing, it's a real parallel universe that's happened. It's always going to exist. But if we want to shift into this other neural pathway of universal thought, we need to use all the negativity that it's throwing at us, feed it off of it, and enjoy it, but use it to create this new neural pathway of universal structures. So just use that negativity, eat it, feed off of it, want more of it, and create with it.
Turn cha into chi.
Yeah,
Cha
exactly.
in Chinese is negativity, and chi is more all energy. Chi, all energy, positivity. So yep, turn cha into chi. So it's all good.
Totally agree. Chris, I know you have I saw it. Saw it on your face when watching you.
So we were talking about manifestation, and I was just wondering if you feel you need a certain level of understanding or level of consciousness to manifest. To manifest safely, shall we say?
Oh, there's two different things.
That's a good point. I mean, it's a bit like that whole people wanting to create a happy life for them. Well, maybe what's happy, people intending, I want a happy life for myself, but your happiness could be someone else's misery. So it goes on again about the beauty of working towards thinking and acting towards the whole. Again, there's another example of why it's good to want happiness for the whole, because if you just want happiness for yourself, the reality of that is for example, here's a little parable, whatever the word is. If I was at home and I want this really good thing to happen, I want to get this happy thing to happen for me. And then I get a phone call off of someone saying, "Oh, you've got this job." So then that's a positive. I've gone out and I've knocked someone over. There's a negative, but that wouldn't have happened without my positive, if you see what I mean. You can carry on with that whole parallel of thought. But if you want happiness for everything, again, it serves a bigger picture. A bit like, oh, bloody hell, it's gone out of my head. I just good. Oh, well, that's gone. That was a real good PowerPoint as well.
It'll come back to you when you don't think about it.
Exactly.
That parable, there's a Taoist version, very similar, and there was a farmer and the neighbour, and this farmer had this beautiful horse, and I can't think. I think I've told you, Ethan. Have I told you that one, or you remember this?
I know the story. I just read it in a book not that long ago. Is it the one about the farmer and then the farmer's son gets hurt?
Yeah. Firstly, he has this beautiful horse, and or at least one of them. There are many versions of it. He had a beautiful horse, and the neighbour goes, "Oh, you got such a beautiful horse! You must be so happy you got a beautiful horse." And the farmer goes, "It could be good. It could be bad." And the neighbour looks a bit bemused. And then one day the horse runs away. He's, oh. The neighbour comes and, "Oh, you must be so sad that your horse is gone." And he goes, "It could be good, it could be bad." And a few days later, the horse comes back. And he comes back with a beautiful mare. And, oh, how lucky. Not only has your horse come back, says the neighbour, that also now you've got this beautiful mare as well. And it could be good, it could be bad. And then, because they lived in China, the great emperor sends his one of his courtiers to get more people for war. There was a war against the emperor, and he I'll fluff that up a little bit. The farmer's son goes onto the horse to try to tame the horse, and the horse throws him off, and the farmer's neighbour goes, and throws him off, breaks his leg. Your son's broken his leg. Oh, how terrible this is. How sad you must feel. And the farmer goes, "Could be good, could be bad." Well, a few days go by, and that courtier comes, the courtier for the emperor, looking for new recruits for the army. But his son, because they would demand that your firstborn or your oldest son would go off to war. But his only son had just broken his leg, so he wasn't able to go to war. So again, the neighbour goes, you're so lucky. Your son doesn't get taken off to war. Yes, again, he says, could be good, could be bad. Because the essence of everything that happens, whether you personally feel it's a great thing or a bad thing, everything is just a chain of everything else. It's just a continuous story. Just like you were saying about like your friend who had this great idea, somebody else comes up with this great idea, you get frustrated, but keep having another idea, and have another idea, and at some point, or most importantly, maybe the lesson is to try to action it as quickly as possible, get it out there. So, because you've already had an idea and somebody else has then done it, you're more likely to actually go, "Oh, hold up, next idea, right, I'm going to really start focus on it, really start making it happen." Because that's what happens in the universe. Things happen, and they could be good, they could be bad.
Yeah, ultimately, it's just a story that we're telling ourselves about it, the relationship that we have to the concept of that thing. I mean, everything, and I think you can apply that to everything, like the idea of finding food. That's amazing for you. You found food. But the food that you found, probably not that amazing to be found and eaten. Like, you catch a rabbit in a trap and you go, "I caught a rabbit, I'm so excited, I can eat dinner." I don't think the rabbit is sharing your experience with you.
Right, we've got a quick question I assume it's towards Paul. So, Paul, from our Joseph, they say, do you do distance healing?
Yes, I do distant healing because there is no boundaries in energy. And again, that comes with the whole coaching thing. If we set up a network where we can all, say for example, us four here, we set up this coaching network where we all get offer our element, and we for example, we charge, I don't know, so much, just off the head, like £20. So we all make £5 each. It's helped all of us, and we're helping that person at a cheap rate. And then you get many people doing that, but it's possible because you can do it over the internet. You can even do healing over the internet. And like I said, I want to do healing for a donation to go towards this relief from pain charity because it's completely possible. And then that healing will bring up stuff, bring about change for us to put in place a package to help them people, if you see what I mean. We can do this. We can have loads of us doing this, and yeah, it's going a bit off track again, but it helps bring it back to that idea of us all using. We might as well use the internet for the good things like what you're using it for now, and we can do healing. We can do healing. I've done it with my friend Michael Van Domelen. That's his name. It's the Light Walkers with Us, or Light Walkers. This man again. We had a little experiment. I'd never done it before until a couple of months ago, and it worked. I mean, and if you look into the science of healing and energy, there's enough videos out there. Go and look at it. You can manipulate, loads of case studies. And regarding case studies, there's a man called, another one I want to plug. I put a plug. Long blonde hair chap, and he likes to actually really. He doesn't like new age stuff in the sense of there's a lot of theologies, as he puts it, and he's a scientist, and he does lots of scientific experiments to prove the nature of physical phenomena happening unseen in between spaces, like me moving an object somewhere. He's done physical experiments and proved them right. So if you want to, you should check out his stuff basically, and it goes back to that again. It is real and it does work, and I'm offering it for a donation. And if anyone like yourselves again wants to work to create a package for people to be able to, so they don't have to pay a lot of money. Many people can all pay a little small fee each for us to help them, for them to help others, and for it to spread out like that. And everyone makes off of it. All of us can make off of it. And all of that started just for a little bit of healing that's happened over line, which it's completely possible to do. So yes, whoever asked that question, yeah, it's distance healing. I do it, and distance healing does work.
Al Joseph.
Pardon?
Oh, somebody's got a speaker.
Foggy, you're echoing.
Is it me?
I'm echoing too.
Right. Somebody's put us on the speaker. My microphone for YouTube says it is good. Right, my microphone on YouTube is off. Somebody's just gone silent. Anyway, so yes, it was no, Joseph. Ethan. No, Ethan. Can you talk?
I can talk. Hello? I hear myself. Technical difficulties.
I think it's Paul.
I turned my microphone off.
Is it me? Can you hear me?
You're the only
Right, testing 1 2 3. Yep, it's gone. So it was coming from Paul. Something Paul did suddenly made it. So he obviously touched his speakers or or turn the speaker on.
Well, this is going to make the show a bit harder to do.
Yeah. This is the silent version. What?
Hello?
Oh yeah. I don't know what you did. Something you suddenly did is now making it echo.
Oh, I don't know.
It's coming from you. Have you got it on YouTube at all?
Cecile, you might be better to help with this stuff. See, I need someone else to help me. I can't do it all on my own. This is the whole concept of this talk. Can you? I don't know what I'm on there saying that I'm echoing.
It was totally fine, and then started next. I don't know YouTube on. If it was YouTube, that was causing it, or it was totally fine, and then suddenly.
I've got no. There's nothing really else we can do, to be honest.
Hello.
The universe is proving no matter what we say, put back to us. Proof of metaphor.
There's a metaphor.
Here's what I suggest. What Paul needs to do is mute himself when he's not talking, and then we'll be able to talk.
That would work.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Right, awesome. Right, so yes, I did originally say it was Al Joseph that said about distant healing, so that's awesome. Thank you very much, Al. And so coming up to 6 minutes to 10, so we've still got a little bit longer. Chris, have you got any questions?
Yes. Basically 95% of the mind, 95% of the mind works at a subconscious level, and if the mind is our mind is a reflection of the universal mind, does that mean 95% of the universe happens without any conscious thought going into it?
I guess so. That's all I could say at that. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's all I'm reflecting back at you right now. Yes.
Yeah, it's just something that came to me. Thinking about how the universal mind and works in the same way as your mind.
Yeah, it's an intriguing one.
Okay. So the next question. Does it take more energy to be positive?
Does it take more energy to be positive? No, I think after it seems to take a lot less energy, because when people feel negative, they notice that they feel more heavier. They feel more tired to get on with stuff. Ideas don't come as well because your head's foggy. You're too busy pissed off about stuff or fearful about stuff. So my logic, my intuition, and what we clearly see around us to show. No, I think it takes. No, is that no? Yeah, we to be positive takes less energy. Yeah.
There is a technique. I think it's actually in NLP as well, but I know it's a Taoist technique of whenever you think you were saying earlier about feeling cloudy or upset. There's an old Taoist technique that says there is this thing about sadness. Sadness is heavier. Sadness, negativity tends to be heavier, and so will sink. This is why it sinks. So you feel that feeling in the solar plexus, in the nerves, and in gut, which the stomach. The stomach is earth. The earth energy within the Eastern philosophy of Chinese medicine, but also in the Taoist 5 elements. It's very earthy. Emotions actually have different energies of sorts. So very anger tends to be like fire. That's why you're very charged up. But there's this thing. If you're saying it feels really heavy, so one of the if you're feeling really sad or really frustrated or really upset, stare straight up towards the sky and hold that. Obviously keep breathing and stay relaxed as best you can, but look up and look up for a period of time. Feel. I'll just say that there is this that when there's a Taoist poem that says when you're annoyed, when you're upset, when frustrated, look up, because it's said to drain the head, drain the mind. It looking straight up allows because you're being very focused in your forehead. Monkey is going mental on your shoulder, and it is screaming in your ear, clouding your judgment, clouding your mind. So looking up drains the head, drains the blood from the head back down into the body, or clearing that cloudiness, that confusion. That's at least a technique to try to experience.
I think that's the why religion works, because there's a truth in it, whereas it's giving people something to focus on. For example, there's a place I go to in around the corner from me, and they do this type of Buddhist philosophy where they keep chanting, and they say that how that works for them. And the reason I think it works for them is and makes them happy is because at that moment in time they're purely focusing on that. So and with while they're doing that, and that's putting them in a how would you put it? That's putting them in a trance state and into a 0 point, because it's a repetitive thing, and it's putting them into that 0 point because they're not thinking about other stuff. It's just that one focus as they're repeating words, and they're supposed to think about what it is they want while they're doing that. And I don't believe it's the actual particular, this is my personal belief, I don't believe it's that particular chant that's doing it. I think it's just the fact that they're in 0 point through the trance repetition. It's put them in 0 point, that mixed with the intention behind it, that's what works. For example, my cousin, she's a Pentecostal Christian, and she said when she got into that, Jesus has saved her and helped her, and it's cured her of many things. And I think it works because the whole energy works, because that Jesus archetype is an energy archetype, and it's the same thing. It does work because it's a bit like saying that she's feeling positive, but rather than putting all that positivity to herself, she's putting the emphasis on Jesus. But either way, it's working because she's not worrying about stuff. She's just focusing purely on that. So it's a similar thing, yeah.
Because what if you focus on the blood?
Exactly.
What you believe is true.
Exactly. And if, like, for example, dance, that's why I think dance and music, because when you dance, you're just in the moment. You're not thinking, you're dancing, you're in the moment. When you're listening to music, you're in the moment. So that's the perfect place to get in that 0 point where you give enough space between the cloudy, crappy thoughts in your mind to allow a neural pathway change. Once again, you're allowing space for something new to get in between all them negative thoughts. You're creating that 0 space. Again, like what I was saying about with the more you connect with oneness, the more you connect with your multidimensional selves. If you get in that place where you're not thinking, then you get into that 0 point space, which all multidimensional selves are derived from. So you're not actually in the thoughts of these different selves getting carried away and getting confused. You're in this 0 point place where you can recharge, where you can change your neurology. Basically, like you said, put in another thing. I get completely what you said about the grounded thing, but also the fact when you're looking up at the sky, you're not thinking about anything apart from the sky at that point. So that completely changes your thought pattern, which completely changes the chemical discharge or what's going on in you, which completely changes your nervous system, which then floods all the positive stuff to you feel better, and then it goes around in a positive circle. So yeah,
it's also the fact that head back is actually draining the brain. You're draining the fluid because the pressure, the cloudiness, is that increase in blood flow. So like a migraines are when so if you get a one-sided headache, that will tend to be a spinal issue, that you've actually trapped a nerve within your back, because a true headache you can't have a headache on one side, because a migraine is increased build-up of pressure of blood building up. The tension within the neck and the shoulders especially allows the pressure to build up but can't actually come back out, and that's why you get that migraine. You get the real powerful headache because it's built up of pressure. But so that cloudiness, that whole point of looking up, you're actually helping drain the fluid, the blood, out of your brain. Now, I just want to quickly say, Brandy's going on about the neurotransmitters are the chemicals you mentioned, and she agrees. Thank you. Also, she says that someone has two screens open on live streaming. So on the live streaming, someone has two screens open. That's why it is echoing. Also, she says, yes, a blockage in the cerebral spinal fluid, pulse and flow. Yep, indeed. So it's all about, like, especially migraines tend to be more of the blockage. So it builds up because of, like I say, tension within the neck. But when it's actually a trapped nerve within the back, you'll get if you get a headache on one side or the other, then that tends to be spinal, because you can't get a one-sided headache. A true headache is brain. But anyway, okay, so let's just do a little bit of wrapping up. So we do final thoughts. So, Ethan, have you got any final words?
Any last words? Let's see. Do I have any last words? Nothing specifically comes to mind. I would like to throw it out there that I think it's been great chatting with you again, Paul, to reconnect. That reminds me. There was something we talked about in our last show, for those of you who watched the last show. And I've been thinking about it since the last show, and I've changed my opinion on what I see. And what my opinion is I have made a comment. We're talking about people who do suboptimal things. Like a terrorist, someone who's in enough pain that it generates them to act out and do something. And so we were talking about that being and them following their intuition. And so at the time I said I felt that they were intuition. But ultimately, I feel more that it's them doing what their soul needed to do and not following their intuition. By not following their intuition, their soul was learning a lesson. By the act of ignoring its deeper sense of purpose and love and not love. So no, I changed my perspective. I don't think it was intuition. I think that was what their soul needed to do, because it was what their soul was learning and part of their soul's process through growth. So 6 months, I think it's been about 6 months. I think that was like back in July. 6 months later, just remember, you can always change your direction because you're always present.
I said that's been bugging you for that long.
Bugging, no, just like, I just don't think that I agree with that. So it's just kind of it's one of those things. It's not a rock in the shoe. It's more like sand in the shoe. It's like, yeah, there's sand in my shoe. I can tell myself a story. It's okay. It's not uncomfortable. It's just sand. So that would be it. That would be it. I would add. And chat with you. That's my closing thoughts. Anybody else?
Someone else? Okay. So, Q. Oh no, sorry, we had a Q. Krishna, have you got any closing thoughts?
Not really. No. It's been really good chatting with you, and it's really nice to meet someone who's so confident in their concepts and ideas about who they are and how they express themselves. So it's very, very, very nice to chat to you. And that's me done.
Cool. Right, and finally, any last word, as Ethan would say?
I'd like to say thank you very much for this opportunity, and carry on doing the great stuff you're doing. And to everyone, don't fear, work together. Think about interactions as a mandala. Work together more. Don't fear. Like I said, just work together more. Even if you work, and even if you talk about the same stuff to each other, even if you do the same thing, share it with each other. Like bloody Freemasonry does. Share your money between each other, but at least it's towards a positive thing. Keep it. There's no loss that can be out of just working together and sharing ideas with each other. And there's more loss out of trying to hold things to yourself. And then again, remember, if you hold things to yourself, you hold it in, and that will manifest as some nasty fucking thing. So just let it out, put ideas out everywhere, share with everyone, work with everyone, use each other in a positive way, and love you all, love what you do. You're all beautiful people, and I can't say much more than that. I just, there's one person I just want to big up. There's a lady called Christelle Melhuish, maybe that's her name. Another one you can find on my site. She does these books called, what they called, Cecile again? Gratitude journals, and that she's trying to get them into schools. And it's, if anyone who knows anyone that can help with that, the idea is to get school kids to write down daily and get in that neural habit of writing down positive affirmations and positive thoughts. We're going to try and involve them in with the conscious spa camps at schools. And she's doing that with a man called Richard Curtis Daniel, or Richard Daniel Curtis. His nickname's a Kid Karma, and he's another great fellow. And they're just more people that are doing great stuff together. And our wonderful lady Janine, a lot of good stuff she's doing. Razor Violet events. I mean, get involved with them. She's always looking for people. Help her, help each other, help us all. Just share and do your best at sharing. There's another one I want to say is Tony J. Salimi, a book called Lonely, the Virus of the Modern Age. He's a lovely bloke. He's doing great things. He's working with lots of people. There's so many people out there doing lots of great stuff. A woman I know called Kapira Chick, she does a lot of community work in High Wycombe. That's her name, Khepera. That's her page name on Facebook. She's doing a lot of community work, and she's such a selfless person, and doing it in High Wycombe in England. If anyone who lives in that way who's watching this, find her, work with her. The same thing again, just work with each other. One step, see if there's anyone else I've missed out. A woman called Yvette Taylor, she does a project called EAM. Look her up on my Facebook page. Another woman who wants to work with doing stuff with lots of people. Just get out there and mix and work with each other. And big up Boggy and the Way of Conscious Mindfulness, and the man who inspired you, Brendan from Paradigm Shift. Beautiful people, just you're wonderful. Carry on the good work, and get in contact at mcdonaldpaul04@gmail.com if you're interested in doing some work together. If you're a corporate person who needs help, anything, we'll work together. We'll do great things together. Plug myself, done that. I'm finished. I love you all, and I'll leave it with you, Boggy.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So, that was another great show, and thank you very much from Paul. And just a quick reminder very soon, within the next few days or so, we'll be setting this one up as a podcast, and all the past ones, all the ones from the last 6 months, eventually we're going to start trickling them in as a podcast. We are on podbean.com, I think that's right, and we are under The Way Of. So if you're on Podbean, have a look on The Way Of, or you might already be on there, because in the future you're already listening to it already. So what am I talking about? You're already here. Hello. So if you're in the future, or if you're here right now and you're watching on YouTube, you can also listen to these and download these on podbean.com. And we are under The Way Of. So next week, at the moment, it's a bit of a mystery guess. Not quite sure who we're going to have just yet. But if you look on The Way Of Conscious Mindfulness, you will find the guests for the next coming weeks as I start downloading them. And obviously remember Paul stuff if you're interested in working with Paul, or especially with the distance healing, which he does as well. But anyway, so now from Ethan, if you'd like to say goodbye. Oh, he's saying goodbye. Sorry.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye. Hope you liked the show.
And Chris. And goodbye from Chris.
Bye.
And finally, goodbye from the guest of the show, whose show it is, the show that is The Way of Paul McDonald. And finally, goodbye from Paul. Oh, he's miming. Bye, 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 bye. So take care. Bye for now. Love and Shen from Paul.
Hello.
And Paul.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can I use this last 1 second to just plug someone else, because it's all about other people to carry it on. There's a great book, and it's about working together as couples, and it's called what's it called? It's called Soulmate Shadow Work by Skylar Akamesis. It's a great book, I've been told, and it's about working together with couples. So again, it's not about yourself, it's about with other people. So there you go. Help others share, and take care from me.
Yeah. Okay then. Thank you much. And take care. Oh, let's just quickly mute him. So that's better. So thank you very much. Thanks to Paul. Thanks to the guys. Take care. Bye for now. Love, chi and Shen from us now. And the funny head. Bye bye bye.